You know that feeling, right? Like your memory just isn't what it should be. Or maybe you feel like it was never that great in the first place. We kind of treat our memory like this thing we have no control over. But what if I told you that inside your brain, right now, is a memory superpower just waiting to be unlocked? Okay, let's dive into this. The amazing writer Jorge Luis Borges really nailed a feeling I think we all share. We pour all this information into our minds and it just feels jumbled, disorganized, and sometimes it's just gone. It's so easy to get overwhelmed by what we can't remember. But believe me, it really doesn't have to be this way. To show you what I mean, I want to tell you a story. It's a true story, and honestly, it sounds completely impossible. Okay, picture this. It's your first day of university. You're probably a little nervous. And then, in walks the legendary Professor Clark. This is a guy with a reputation for being brilliant, super intimidating, and having a mind like a steel trap. You could hear a pin drop in that room. So instead of pulling out a list, Professor Clark just stands there, hands behind his back, and starts calling out names. Fast. Adams? Here. Barlow? Here. He doesn't look at a single piece of paper. The students are just staring, completely stunned. And then it gets even crazier. He calls a name, Cartland, and there's silence. The professor pauses and then just rattles off. Jeremy Cartland, address 2761 West 3rd Avenue, phone number 794-6231, mother's name Jean, father's name Gordon. He does this for every single absent student. This is the first day of class. He's never even met these people. I mean, how could anyone do that? Was Professor Clark just born some kind of genius with a totally different brain than the rest of us? Well, one student was so blown away, he actually ran after the professor to ask him the secret. The professor just smirked and said, "Because, son, I am a genius." But that wasn't the real answer. Nope. The real secret wasn't a gift he was born with. It was a set of powerful, totally learnable techniques pioneered by the memory expert Tony Buzan. And that student who chased the professor down the hall, you guessed it, that was Tony Buzan himself. And that one moment started him on this lifelong quest to figure out and teach these incredible skills. And this is not some rare ability for a chosen few. Just look at Dominic O'Brien. He was told he'd never amount to much. But as he says right here, after failing most of his exams, he used these exact same principles to become an 8-time world memory champion. So the big takeaway here is, you can do this too. In fact, you know what? Let's prove it. Right here, right now. I'm going to challenge you to do something amazing with your memory, and I promise it's going to be totally effortless. You ready? All the techniques we're about to use come straight from Tony Buzan's incredible book, Master Your Memory. It is packed with the very methods that changed everything for people like Dominic O'Brien. Okay, here is your mission, and it's super simple. I'm going to tell you a short, really weird story. All you have to do is just picture it as vividly as you can. When we're done, you will have memorized the entire solar system in perfect order. Let's do this. All right, first, I want you to imagine a giant, blazing sun right in front of you. Seriously, feel its intense heat on your face. Now, floating right next to that sun, picture a tiny thermometer. It's so hot that the liquid metal inside, the mercury, is boiling and bubbling like crazy. All of a sudden, pop. The thermometer just explodes. That liquid mercury splatters everywhere in these shiny, silvery drops. And then, rising up out of that metallic puddle is the beautiful goddess of love, Venus. See her glowing, totally unfazed. So Venus, with this little playful smile, she scoops up a blob of mercury and just flings it across the sky. You watch it sail through space until it lands with a massive thud right in your own backyard, on our home planet, Earth. You can actually feel the ground shake. Of course, that crash brings your neighbor storming out of his house. He's this small, angry guy with a bright red face, and he is furious about the mess. This is the god of war, Mars. Just picture him fuming. Just as Mars is about to lose it, a friendly giant stomps onto the scene. The ground shakes with every step, and he's got this huge letter J for a unibrow. He just gently pats Mars on the head and calms him down. This, of course, is the king of the gods, Jupiter. Now, as you look up at this huge, friendly giant Jupiter, you notice something weird. His massive t-shirt has 3 bright letters flashing on it. S-U-N. What could that be for?
Oh, and perched right on his head, wagging its tail, is that little Disney dog, Pluto. Just lock that whole crazy image in your mind.
Okay, just run that little movie through your mind one more time. You've totally got this. Let's try it out. After that big, hot sun, what did you see? It was a thermometer, and it was filled with
Mercury, yes. And when it exploded, who appeared? Venus. And she threw that glob of mercury onto our Earth. Who stormed out, all angry and red-faced? Mars. And who calmed him down? The giant, Jupiter. And on his shirt? SUN, for Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. And finally, on his head? Pluto. See? You did it. Perfect recall. Instantly.
So, how in the world did that work? I know it feels like magic, but it's actually a science that was figured out thousands of years ago. So the ancient Greeks figured out that our memory really rests on three main pillars. First, there's association. We linked all the planets together in a chain, like a story. Second, imagination. We didn't just read a list, we made the story ridiculous and colorful and sensory. And third, location. We put the actions somewhere you know really well, your backyard. Your brain is just wired to remember stories, not boring old lists. And our little story is a perfect example of the full toolkit. Tony Buzan came up with his awesome mnemonic, Smash and Scope, to remember the 12 key ingredients for a perfect memory. Our story had it all. Movement, humor, exaggeration, color. You used all these things without even trying. This is how your brain wants to learn. Look, that planet exercise wasn't just some cool party trick. It was a tiny little glimpse of your brain's actual potential. So let's talk about just how massive that potential really is. Get this. In scientific studies, when people were shown 10,000 different pictures, each for only a few seconds, their recall was almost perfect. Your brain has a nearly unlimited capacity for visual and spatial stuff. The problem isn't your memory storage space, it's the filing system we're using. All through history, people who got these principles have done things that seem like miracles. Knowing the names of 20,000 people, mastering 80 languages, memorizing an entire deck of cards in 38 seconds. These people weren't born different. They just trained their brains, using the exact same principles of imagination and association you just used to learn the planets. You just proved to yourself right now that your memory is way more powerful than you probably thought. You learn the planets in what, 2 minutes? Something that takes kids hours of boring drills in school. The key takeaway is this simple. That superpower is already inside you. So the only real question left is, what are you going to choose to master with it?